Hello to everyone. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Alex's Adventures in English. And you know what? This is my first podcast, and I'm going to record it live on YouTube and Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, and yeah, that's it. That's it. And those are all the platforms I'm live on at the moment. So, yes, I'm going to record this podcast live. And I'm not sure if you've read what this episode is about, what this live stream is about, but I'm getting ready to take a test tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I should have started before, but you know what? You know that's yeah, it is what it is. And you know that life can get quite busy. So anyway, I couldn't start before. I'm gonna start now, and I have to get ready for a CEFR online test. CEFR. Now we're going to talk about that, and it's a test. EduSync is the platform that administers these tests. So, yeah, I have to test. Sorry, I have to take these tests because I've been required at work to take it. You know, the thing is that I want to get a new job or a new position at the teaching company, the online teaching company I work for, or that I provide my services to, and they require me to take this test, the AIM 4 skills online, well, not online, a 4 skills English test, and the level I need to demonstrate is C1 or C2. I need to demonstrate that I have a C1 or a C2 level. Okay? So now we're going to talk about what the test is all about. And yeah, do remember that you'll be able to watch this on my YouTube channel, and then you'll be able to listen to it on other platforms. All right? So, let's get started. Without further ado, yeah, let's crack on, shall we? Yeah, we've got many things to talk about, and yeah, you're gonna be studying with me. But first, before we move on to the reading section, the writing section, listening and speaking section, we have to talk about what the exam is going to be like, right? What does CEFR mean? You know? And yeah, we need to talk about that, what that means. And yeah, so I'm going to be reading from a document I prepared for this live stream. So please do let me know. I'm just double checking. I'm about to double check if I'm live at the moment, if everything's going smoothly on the platforms I'm streaming at the moment. I think so. What happened there? Okay, there we go. What else do I need to do before I start? Okay. Yeah, because I'm live nearly everywhere, you know? And not only am I live on, well, horizontally on YouTube and Twitch, but also vertically. So I've got a few things to check out, you know? Anyway, yeah, I need to concentrate. I need to concentrate because I don't have much time to study for this test. And ideally, tomorrow, when I take it, I'm going to take it live. You know, it's like a real challenge for me. I might fail it, you know, but anyway, I don't care. I don't care. I just want to have some fun. I want to, you know, have some fun while doing these kind of things. Anyway, so I'm going to go and start reading from the document I've prepared for this session. And all right, so CEFR as the global gold standard for assessing language proficiency. That's the first subtitle. This is an article published by the EduSync team on October the 18th, 2024. And it might take me 3 minutes to read. Okay, so let's have a look at it. In the ever-evolving landscape of language education, the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, CEFR, that's what it stands for, it's an acronym, has emerged as the global gold standard for assessing language proficiency. Alright, so this is a gold standard, a bar to assess your level of language proficiency. This comprehensive framework has revolutionized how we approach language learning. This Z here implies that this is written in American English, because in British English you write that with an S, right? Revolutionized how we approach language learning, teaching, and assessment across the world. Its widespread adoption and recognition stem from or are based on its unique features that cater to the needs of learners, educators, and institutions alike. All right. So cater to, these features aim to meet the needs of learners, educators, and institutions alike. You know? So, unlike other language proficiency frameworks, this framework provides a clear and structured description of language ability on a 6-point scale from A1 to C2. Do you know that we always talk about that? We talk about the... okay, let me just double check something. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I can see myself while reading this. So, so unlike other language proficiency frameworks, sorry, I'm gonna repeat myself. This framework provides a clear and structured description of language ability on a 6-point scale from A1 to C2. Well, you know this, right, guys? We always talk about in language learning, in learning English, about being A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, right? So this is that's the that's the 6-point scale, that this framework is based on, the CEFR. This standardized approach, well, again, let's change that for an S. This standardized approach makes it incredibly easy for teachers, learners, employers, and educational institutions to compare language qualifications across different contexts and countries. Additionally, the article is talking about the CEFR, the Common European Framework for languages. That's something we mentioned before. The Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. There we go. That's what it stands for. Anyway, additionally, the framework. Additionally, the framework uses can-do descriptors to specify what learners can achieve at each level, simulating authentic situations the learners might encounter in real life. So it puts you to the test of dealing with a real life situation, of using language to solve common problems in everyday life. This practical approach ensures the language skills assessed through CEFR are directly applicable to real world scenarios. Right, that you can, this practical approach makes it possible, to assess skills, in a way that, how shall I put it, in the context of every real world scenarios, right? For example, I don't know, you need to buy something, go to a shop to buy something, you need to use language, right? So talking to somebody at the supermarket is a challenge that you need to solve using language. Anyway, for language learners, CEFR offers a clear roadmap for progress. The detailed can-do statements at each level provide learners with specific achievable goals. Meaning that I don't know, if I'm an A1 learner, I can, express myself using simple words, for example. This transparency helps motivate learners and allows them to track their own progress. So you can, track your own progress and say, well, I can do this. I can, tell a short story using simple words, for example. So, moreover, the international recognition of CEFR levels means the learners can easily communicate their language proficiency to potential employers or educational institutions worldwide. That's why this test I'm about to take tomorrow is so relevant nowadays, right? Because you can use it to, easily communicate. Through it, you can communicate your language proficiency to your potential employers, right? Or a university, for example. And here you've got the framework, the Common European Framework of Reference. You can go from pre-A1, A1, A2, that's basic, then independent, B1, B2, and proficient C1, C2. That's the level. C1 is the minimum level I need to achieve when taking this test. Okay? Educators benefit immensely from the framework as well, as it provides a common understanding for discussing language proficiency, facilitating collaboration among teachers across different countries and educational systems. It also supports the development of teaching materials, syllabuses, and assessments that are aligned with international standards. This alignment ensures the language education remains relevant and effective in preparing learners for real-world language use. So the focus is clearly on language, real-world language use, that you can use language to sort out everyday problems, like communicating with, I don't know, somebody at, I don't know, at a shop, at the supermarket. I keep using that example. I don't know why. Maybe you need to, I don't know, tell an anecdote to somebody. You need to, I don't know, tell your employer about you. You need to tell, you're asked, I don't know, something. For example, I know that one of the questions I might be asked during the exam is, can you tell us about a time you had to deal with a challenge? How did you overcome it? And what did you learn from it, from that experience? So that, for example, right, you need to be able to explain, right, what you did. First off, tell them what the problem was, what the challenge was, how you solved it, and what you learned from it, from that experience. Let's move on to the second article, how to prepare for EduSync's new English placement test. This is the specific test my employer sponsors me to take, right? So I've got two sponsored attempts, at EduSync. If I don't get a C1 level, I will have to, well, I've got two options. First one, I don't take the position, the job, I miss the opportunity of, getting the job, or I will have to pay for this CEFR test, maybe here or somewhere else. Anyway, let's continue. This is again published on February the 6th, 2025. Ideally, I'll be 3 minutes reading it, which we know will not be the case. Anyway, taking an English placement test is the first step in understanding your language proficiency and identifying areas for improvement. EduSync's new English placement test is designed to assess your skills accurately and efficiently, helping you find the right learning path. To perform your best, you need to know what to expect, how to prepare, and what strategies to use during the test. In this guide, we'll talk you through everything you need to prepare effectively and maximize your score. Okay, that's the main purpose of this article. Just I'm gonna check now something before I forget. There we go. Great. So, step-by-step guide to preparing for the test. Understand the test format. This will help you if you need to prepare for this kind of test. IELTS, this one, the CEFR EduSync test, and many other tests that follow the same framework that assess you on the basis of the CEFR framework. Anyway, let's go back to this step-by-step guide to preparing for the test. Understand the test format. The test consists of multiple choice spoken and written responses. Here's what to expect. Reading section. You'll read short and long passages and answer comprehension questions. Listening section. So we've got four sections: reading section on the one hand, on the other, listening section. You'll hear dialogues, lectures, or announcements and answer related questions. Speaking section. You'll respond to prompts to, to assess fluency or that assess fluency, pronunciation, and coherence. And writing section, which is going to be one of the toughest. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's going to be, yeah, one of the tougher sections actually. Writing section, you'll write short responses or structured texts. Pro tip: familiarize yourself with CEFR levels so you can understand what skills are required at each level. A1, C2. Of course, the skills you need to be able to display at each level vary. Again, let's swap this Z for an S. Okay, that's British English. Improve your reading skills. To succeed in the reading section, you need strong comprehension and vocabulary skills. Read a variety of materials: news articles, blogs, fiction, and academic texts. Practice skimming and scanning, right? Learn to quickly identify main ideas and key details. So, skimming, reading, you know, generally, right? Identifying main ideas, you read, not paying attention to detail. And then if you scan, you do pay attention to detail, key details. Expand your vocabulary. Keep a word journal and learn 5 to 10 from 5 to 10 new words daily. Interesting. Summarize texts. After reading an article, summarize it in your own words. Yeah, that's an interesting idiom. In your own words, you say. Right? You don't say you summarize something with your own words, but in your own words. Practice activity: read a short article and answer who, what, when, where, why, and how questions. Okay, we'll do that later on. Alright. Boost your listening comprehension. Listening skills are crucial, especially for conversations, lectures, and real life situations. Listen to English podcasts and audiobooks. Try TED Talks, BBC Learning English, or the Daily Podcasts. Watch English movies and TV shows. I usually watch movies. Well, on a daily basis, I watch movies. I'm usually watching Netflix or maybe I don't know BBC News, or I'm watching I don't know something on BBC iPlayer. Anyway, watch English movies and TV shows. Start with subtitles, then challenge yourself to listen without them. These are all tips you can take if you want to improve your English, of course, because all this is useful for or to get ready for this test, but at the same time, it's all useful for anyone wanting to improve their English level. Practice note taking. Write down key points while listening to recordings. Interesting. Listen to different accents: British, American, Australian, and other global English varieties. Pro tip: replay difficult audio clips and mimic native pronunciation. That's so interesting because I usually, well, that's some of my episodes on my channel are based on this, you know, mimicking native pronunciation. So if you mimic native pronunciation at the same time as you listen to a speaker, that's called shadowing, you know, you're mimicking, you're repeating what somebody's saying, right? Preferably a native speaker or a highly proficient speaker, and you listen to that first, then you replay the audio clips or the video clips, and you mimic their pronunciation. You repeat, uh, repeat with them, you know, anyway, not after them, but at the same time. Prepare for the speaking section. The speaking section assesses pronunciation, fluency, and coherence. Interesting. Assesses pronunciation. Assesses is the verb, assessment is the noun, pronunciation the noun, pronounce the verb, fluency is the noun, and that comes from being fluent, right? The adjective, you can be fluent in a language. And coherence comes from, it's a noun and comes from the adjective coherent. Practice speaking out loud daily. Describe your day or narrate a story. Interesting, guys. I usually practice English on my own. You know, I speak when I'm alone. I try and speak as much English as possible. You should do that too. Mm. Let's continue with this. So, let us continue with this. Getting ready for this test, but at the same time, helping you with tips. We're getting tips to learn English, to improve your English level. So, use, okay, that one. Record yourself and listen to your pronunciation. Interesting. Use speech to text apps like Google Speech and Google Speech Recognition to check clarity. Okay. I'm a bit thirsty at the moment. Okay. Join conversation groups or language exchange programs like Tandem or Hello Talk. Challenge yourself. That's a tip. Pick a topic and speak for 1 minute without stopping. Okay, let's do that, guys. Let's challenge accepted. I'm going to pick a topic and speak for 1 minute non-stop. Yeah, let me set an alarm, a reminder. Okay, for 1 minute, I'm going to talk about learning English with, well, it's got to be quite short, you know. For 1 minute, you can't say much about it. Okay, I should better. All right, let's talk about why you should learn English through video games. Or why you should learn English with my channel, Alex's Adventures in English. All right. I like that one. I like that one. So let me start this. Well, I think you should learn English with my channel because I offer a variety of resources that will help you improve your English. For example, I usually play video games like Resident Evil, Requiem or James Bond, actually 007 First Light, and break down English live and try and explain to you what words mean and I don't know how to pronounce them. And I'm usually publishing videos as much as possible. So learning English with my YouTube channel will help you. Will certainly help you. Will certainly help you understand what real English is all about, because that's the kind of English I'm usually breaking down. So thank you. All right, that's 1 minute. All right, it wasn't the best answer, but anyway, 1 minute. Not much time to say much, really. Anyway, sharpen your writing skills. Writing assesses grammar, structure, and clarity. So practice writing in different formats. Yeah, writing assesses grammar, structure, and clarity. So grammar, of course, how you put words right next to one another, you know, how you make, I don't know, words, um, how shall I put it? Because that's the thing with grammar. It covers syntax and and morphology. Yeah, I think syntax and morphology. Yeah, because syntax is all about ordering words one next to the other. You know, the order of words in a sentence. So, what comes first, what comes later. First, for example, comes the subject in a sentence, usually in English, then comes the verb, but then you need to think about, for example, I don't know, conjugation of verbs. That, I don't know, if the sentence is in the present simple tense, you will have to, actually, if the verb is in the, yeah, if the sentence is in the present simple tense, and the subject is in the third person singular, like for example, he, the verb will have to agree with the subject in terms of, for example, number, right? So if the subject is he, then the verb will take an S. Like for example, I don't know, he likes to play tennis. So anyway, let's continue. And well, yeah, adding an S to a verb, that's of course morphology. You know how you form words. You add, I don't know, a suffix in this case. You're adding a suffix to the verb. That's a suffix. Or yeah. Anyway, so I went on a tangent there a bit. A tangent is when you go on a tangent, you start speaking about things that maybe that are not very relevant to the topic being discussed at the moment. So that's a tangent. Let me just double check the meaning. To go tangent, go off on a tangent. That's what I wanted to say. To go off on a tangent. In the UK, you can say to go at a tangent, or okay, to go off at a tangent, or to, sorry, or to go, or to fly off at a tangent. So going back to where we left off, I was telling you that you can go off on a tangent, right? Yeah, you can go off on a tangent. You can fly off. Yeah, you can in the UK you can say you go off at a tangent or fly off at a tangent. but where that is, I don't know. Oh, here we go. Which means to go off on a tangent, or to go off at a tangent or fly off at a tangent, means to suddenly start talking or thinking about a completely new subject. For example, it's hard to get a firm decision out of him. He's always going off on a tangent. Anyway, going back to the document I've been reading from, let me go here. Okay. There we go. I'm going to keep reading. So, this is to sharpen your skills. This is in general, right? And for a CEFR test. Writing assesses grammar, structure, and clarity, so practice writing in different formats. Write short daily journal entries to improve sentence structure. Okay. All right. Practice writing emails, short essays, and summaries. This is something I'm not sure I'm going to do. Anyway, use grammar checking tools like Grammarly to review mistakes. Okay, interesting. That's a good tool. Time yourself. Write a paragraph in 10 minutes to simulate test conditions. Pro tip, review sample. And here, let me read this to you. So, in this case, we say TOEFL. TOEFL, that's the pronunciation of that one. TOEFL. This one, TOEFL. And the other is IELTS. IELTS writing prompts to practice structured responses. Take practice tests to simulate the real exam. One of the best ways to prepare is by taking mock exams under timed conditions. Try sample questions from EduSync platform, right? Yeah, I know that there are some around there on the platform. Time yourself to simulate the test experience, review mistakes, and focus on weak areas. Why it works? Familiarity with the test format reduces anxiety and improves confidence. That's right, guys. Of course, you need to know how you're going to be assessed, and you need to put that to the test, or put yourself to the test while trying to, solve the activities or do the activities you will have to do during the exam. Test day tips. How to stay focused and confident. Get a good night's sleep. That's not something I usually do. Resting well the night before ensures better concentration and memory recall. My mouth hurts. Number 2, set up your test space. Alright, ensure a quiet environment with no distractions. Yeah, we know that. Test your microphone, webcam, and internet connection in advance. Yeah, useful to do. Follow time management strategies. Pace yourself and don't spend too long on one question. Good. Move on if you're unsure. Come back later if there's time. Number 4, read questions carefully. Take your time to understand each question before answering. That's important, right? You need to understand the instructions before actually, answering, well, before trying to do an activity or solve a problem. Number 5, stay calm and confident. Okay, take deep breaths if you feel anxious. Yeah, good advice. Trust your preparation. I don't. I haven't prepared enough, to be honest with you, for this test. You've got this. After the test, understanding your results, or after the test, go and have a nap. Once you complete the placement test, you'll receive, okay, this is what you get from EduSync. Your CEFR level A1 to C2. Global standard for language proficiency, detailed skill breakdown, insights on reading, listening, speaking, and writing, personalized study plan, guidance on how to improve and reach the next level. Okay, what's next? Use your results to set new learning goals and choose the right study plan. The EduSync placement test is designed to give you a clear understanding of your English level. By preparing your actually I was about to say by preparing yourself, by preparing strategically, you can boost your confidence, improve your score, and take the next step in your learning journey. All right, let's move on to article number 3. Number 3, how to get a C1 on the EduSync CEFR level test. That's the level I need to achieve at least. So, yeah. Reaching C1 on the CEFR scale is a major milestone for English learners. It means you've moved beyond intermediate language skills. Yeah. So it means you've moved beyond intermediate language skills and can now communicate fluently, flexibly, and effectively, whether in academics, work, or daily life. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, acad- academics. Yeah, academics. There you go. Whether in academics, work, or daily life. That's the noun, academics. Okay. So, if you're aiming to score C1 on the EduSync CEFR level test, you're not just chasing a high score, you're preparing to operate confidently in a global English speaking environment. But how do you actually get there? Let's break it down step by step. Interesting, guys. I want to read this. What does a C1 level mean? At C1 Advanced, you are expected to understand a wide range of demanding texts and recognize implicit meanings or implicit meaning. You can go for either. Yeah, the S, British English, the Z, American English. Express ideas fluently and spontaneously without searching for words. All right, fair enough. Produce clear, well structured, detailed writing on complex subjects. Follow fast, complex conversations and lectures with ease, without difficulty. In simple terms, you can work, study, and socialize entirely in English without major difficulty. What's tested on the EduSync CEFR level test? EduSync assesses all 4 essential language skills. Let me use my headphones because, oh gosh. Skill, what's measured? Reading, for example, ability to comprehend complex texts, academic, technical, opinion pieces. That's what you need to be able to read. Listening, understanding lectures, debates, and native level conversations. All right? Organizing arguments, expressing, writing new. Oh, this is writing actually. It doesn't look like it. Writing, organized arguments, expressing nuanced ideas, using cohesive devices, speaking, fluency, pronunciation, clarity, argumentation, and spontaneity. All right. Each skill must perform at a C1 level or higher to achieve an overall C1 result. Really? Oh gosh, these aren't that difficult, guys. It's too much pressure, really. Anyway, fortunately, I've got 2 attempts. If I don't get the results I'm looking for in the first attempt, I can request for a second attempt. And you can do that too if you're taking this test. Each skill. Okay, let's keep reading. How to prepare to reach C1. Here's your guide to success. Strengthen your vocabulary. At C1, you need to use a wide range of vocabulary flexibly, understand idioms, phrasal verbs, and less common expressions. Yep. Okay, let me keep reading from the document. Well, you know what idioms are, don't you? These phrases that have a different meaning from what you'd usually expect them to have. For example, I don't know, um, to learn something by heart. By heart means, to memorize something. It's not by actually, it doesn't refer to your heart. Anyway, understand idioms, phrasal verbs, like for example, look forward to, and less common expressions. Avoid basic repetition, not always using good, bad, nice, etc. Okay. Tip: read newspapers like The Guardian or the New York Times. Watch TED Talks and note down advanced vocabulary. Learn topic specific words, business, science, social issues. Number 2, master complex grammar. Accuracy matters at C1. You should comfortably use conditional forms, especially third conditional. Why? You can say, for example, if. Let me do that. If I had, if I had studied more. Oh, let me do this. It's too small. You can't see anything there. So if I had studied more for tomorrow's test, but yeah, the third conditional you can use. Yeah, it usually refers to the past. An impossible hypothetical situation that didn't actually happen. So you could say, for example, if I had studied more for the test, I would have passed it. You know, if I had studied more for the test, I would have passed it. But I didn't study more for the test, and so I didn't pass it. This is impossible now. You didn't do something, so something else didn't happen. That's the third conditional. Passive voice. Well, that's easy. You say, I don't know, um, the cat ate the, I don't know, the or the yeah, the cat, or for example the dog ate a carrot. That's active voice. Passive voice, you can say the carrot was eaten by the dog. That's passive voice, right? First, we mention in the first one, in active voice, we mention first the agent who performed the action. That's the dog, right? Here, that's the dog performed the action, and the recipient of that action, the eating, right, is the carrot. So this is the recipient of the action. But in passive voice, first you mention the recipient of the action. The carrot was eaten by the dog. And by the dog is optional, right? In passive voice, you can say the carrot was eaten. Or yeah, the carrot was eaten by the dog. Anyway, the agent can be introduced by the preposition by. Anyway, let's continue. Reported speech. Yeah, you need to be able to say, I don't know, instead of saying, my friend said, I want you to come, you could say in reported speech, that'll be, my friend said that he wanted me to go, for example, right? Um, hmm. Modal verbs for speculation might have been, could have gone. Right, you can say, for example, if I'd been to the party, it might have been quite interesting, but I didn't. Again, complex sentence structures, although, despite, however. Right, so you might say something like, although, I don't know, although, let me say it aloud. Although I studied a lot, I studied a lot, I studied a lot for the test, I didn't pass it, right? Or despite um, all the time I spent studying for the test, I didn't pass it. I studied a lot. I studied a lot for the test. However, I didn't pass it. Write short essays and all journal entries and focus on using advanced structures naturally. 3. Improve your fluency, your speaking fluency. At C1, your speaking should sound natural and fluent, minimal hesitation. So, you can't think, guys. You can't think much. If you're C1, you you need to have all your answers ready. Well, that doesn't actually work in that way. You can hesitate because hesitation doesn't actually. I don't know. I don't think that's. I mean, you can hesitate because maybe that's your personality. You know that depends on your personality most times. But of course, if you hesitate because you can't find the words, that's one thing. But if you hesitate because, I don't know, you don't know what to say, uh, well, that's a different thing, isn't it? Anyway, organized ideas presented clearly. So, organized ideas presented clearly. Adaptable, you need to be. You need to sound actually. You need to sound organized, natural and fluent, adaptable, different tones for formal, informal settings. Okay, practice strategies. Record yourself speaking on random topics for 2 to 3 minutes. Practice disagreeing politely, and adding supporting arguments. Okay, use EduSync's speaking practice modules to simulate test conditions. Read beyond the basics. Train your brain to handle complex texts with layered arguments, academic articles, opinion essays. Focus on recognizing main ideas, supporting arguments, writer's tone, and implied meaning. Tip: after reading an article, summarize it in 5 sentences. This strengthens comprehension and expression at the same time. Number 5. Practice formal writing. EduSync's writing tasks expect you to present clear, structured arguments, use linking words correctly, therefore, moreover, nonetheless, stay focused and coherent without grammatical mistakes. That's great. No pressure, guys. No pressure whatsoever. Practice tasks. Write formal emails or complaint letters. Write opinion essays on common topics, technology in education, climate change solutions, etc. Extra pro tips for test day. Manage your time. Don't rush, but don't overthink either. Or either, you can say. Stay calm during speaking. It's normal to pause briefly to organize thoughts. Alright, that's good to know. Review your writing. Always leave 2 to 3 minutes to check for small errors. Listen actively. Focus on keywords when listening to long audio clips. You've got to focus on keywords. All right, when listening to long audio clips. Getting a C1 is challenging, but it's also completely achievable with the right strategies, daily practice, and a confident mindset. Every vocabulary word you learn, every paragraph you write, every TED talk you listen to, it's all getting you closer to your goal. With EduSync, you have the tools to assess, practice, and track your journey to C1 fluency. Detailed feedback, CEFR aligned progress reports, skill specific preparation. Number 4, CEFR level test structure and scoring system. This is another article. How is the CEFR level test structured? What are the possible scores? Written by Catherine, December the 2nd, 2025. The EduSync CEFR level test is designed to accurately assess English language proficiency across 4 key skills: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Oh God, I need water. God's sake. The test aligns with a common European framework of reference. That's something we mentioned before for languages, right? CEFR. But it's expanded into a more nuanced 15-level scale ranging from A 0, A0 true beginner to C2 proficient. Evaluations conducted our our evaluators take up to 24 hours. For users being evaluated by an AI or by AI, you will receive your results in less than 5 minutes though. So that though is like although, you know. Uh, Yeah, that does, to be honest with you, though is a bit informal, not the best to use here. The most written connector, a more written oriented connector, or a connector used in writing more often, is although, with the same meaning. Like, for example, although for users being evaluated by AI, you will receive your results in less. Okay. Although you will receive your results in less than 5 minutes. Okay. Actually, the although connects both ideas. The though connects both ideas. Although evaluations conducted by our evaluators take up to 24 hours, although that's the case, for users being evaluated by AI, you will receive your results in less than 5 minutes, right? You may need to log out and log back in to see them. Then you've got the test structure overview. I should have brought some water for this live stream. I've brought some Coke. It wasn't the best idea, was it? The test takes approximately 1 hour to complete and is divided into the following sections in this order: reading, number of questions, 20 minutes, right? 12 to 15. Description. This section assesses the test taker's ability to understand written texts. Questions include vocabulary in context, comprehension, inference, and summarizing key information. Listening, 10 minutes. Number of questions, 8 to 12. Evaluates the ability to understand spoken English in real life contexts, such as conversations and short lectures. The test taker answers comprehension and inference questions based on audio clips. Alright. Speaking, 10 minutes. Number of questions, 3. Format, 15 seconds preparation time, followed by 45 seconds of speaking for each question. So 3 questions. Oh gosh, I thought it was only 1. Anyway, description. This section tests fluency and coherence through a prompt requiring the user to express an opinion or recount a personal experience. Writing, 20 minutes. Number of questions, 1. Minimum word count, 150 words. The test taker must write actually. The test taker must write an essay based on a prompt that asks for their opinion, or the description of a personal experience. Scoring system. The scoring system for the EduSync CEFR level test utilizes a 15-level CEFR scale from A0, true beginner, to C2, proficiency. Actually, proficient. Proficiency is the noun, proficient is the adjective. That's utilize. Good. Level, the scoring system for the EduSync CEFR level test utilizes actually. There you go. Each section is scored individually and contributes to the overall proficiency level. Below is how each skill is evaluated: reading and listening. These sections are automatically scored based on the percentage of correct answers, which are then mapped to the CEFR scale. Speaking and writing. These sections are assessed by certified English evaluators using specific criteria. Really? Speaking, fluency and coherence, flow and clarity of speech. Okay, I've got an incoming phone call, guys. So I will have to, I think, interrupt this live session and continue later on. All right? Yeah, I'm not sure if. Yeah. Just a second. Just a second. One of the things I hate the most is when people, you know, are calling you on the phone, are phoning you, and you don't pick up the phone call, but they don't stop ringing. Okay, guys. So yeah, as I told you before, we'll have to leave it here. We'll have to stop here this live stream and continue later on. You know, because yeah, yeah, I've got to continue. I've got to go and eat something, and later on, most probably, I will continue getting ready for the exam because it's tomorrow, right? The test is tomorrow, so I need to, to crack on. I really need to get ready for it. So if you like this kind of content, if you enjoyed this live stream, this episode, you can subscribe to my channel. It's for free. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. And so you'll get a notification next time I'm live. All right. Bye for now and talk to you later. Right. So